Alright guys, it's Angie, and to be honest, I recently thought to myself that I haven't done this thing in ages. So I sat for a bit and I thought, and I came up with a short list of a few games that I have been recently playing that I think I could recommend to you. Also considering that there's probably some kind of autumn or Halloween Steam sale coming, and there's probably gonna be a sale on GOG and on any other possible platform there is. So if any of these games is on sale and discounted and you've been on the fence regarding this title, then I'll try to, let's say, persuade you a bit. And let's start with a few games that I've been waiting to come out of the early access. They came out, I think, both around summer this year from early access. The first one is Niche, a genetic survival game. It's a very curious game, and I think it will speak to the people who've played games like Creatures or maybe Black and White, but it's a big maybe, because the game essentially is about, well, survival. You have a small tribe, or even at the very beginning, a one member of your species. You have this small tribe and you have to do everything to survive. You can meddle a bit with the genetics. You can try making your creatures, let's say, more aquatic. You can make them omnivores, carnivores, herbivores, whichever you prefer. And usually it also a bit depends on the surroundings in which your tribe is thriving in. It's not very complicated. It's not very complex. I would say it is a bit basic, but it is, in my opinion, very pleasant way to spend time. I just like to sit for like an hour or two and just like let's survive as many days as we can, or let's set ourselves a goal to, for example, create an offspring with a certain genetic trait. There are different types of islands you can end up on. There are tropical islands, there are mountain islands, and to each of these kinds of islands you need to sufficiently prepare yourself or try to survive on. Another early access game that I've been waiting on is Slime Rancher, although I have to say it didn't quite leave the early access, because although it was officially released, it was still lacking a bit of content. Like, for example, there's a whole island that you want to explore, but some sections of this island were not available at the release of the game, and they were said to be released later with the next, let's say, patch, which isn't, to be honest, it shouldn't be like that. When you're releasing a game, you should release a full game and not a portion. But still, I am pleasantly surprised, let's say, that it's not a paid DLC and it's a basic game. But still, I really like it. And to be honest, maybe the fact that you are getting this game in chunks is to, let's say, keep the players coming back, because I got to a point when the game got a bit repetitive and I had to take a break. So I know it's not the best recommendation, but still, the game is beautiful. Each discovery you make is fantastic. The fact that you can mix the slimes together, not too much because they then turn into monsters and eat everyone. So yeah, I recommend it as well. If you liked games like Caesar, for example, and you like steampunk, then Lethis is a game for you. It's a bit like a strategic game with only the economic part. It's beautifully designed, and to be honest, it's pretty simple. Although when I started the tutorial for the first time, I was a bit overwhelmed with the exhausting information I was bombarded with. I think they could have, made it a bit slower. And to be honest, I prefer games like this. I prefer learning by myself. So I just booted the custom scenario and started just coming up with everything. There are scenarios you can play through, like gather the certain amount of some resource or build a monument monument. But other than that, it's a great game to just create those visually beautiful cities full of people and robots. Steam-powered robots, yes. The Talos Principle is, I would say, amazingly interesting game, which has me so conflicted at times. Because first thing, it was made by guys who made Serious Sam. Second, their trailer is made like it was an action game, and it is not. It's a puzzle game. There are those fast shots and dramatic music, but it's not it. You'll be stuck for 20 minutes on one puzzle and you won't be blowing stuff up. Well, maybe sometimes you'll blow up, but that's everything. And the story behind it is just, I can't really say because I'm still playing through it, as you can probably see on my channel, because I have a playthrough of it. So I cannot judge the story fully, but I can say that I really like the puzzles. They are usually not, I won't say they are not that difficult, because they are sometimes very difficult, but they are also, I don't know, they feel rewarding. Just when I'm stuck on something very complicated, and then I just, reset my thinking, get back to it and try again and get it right, I feel so accomplished. It's pretty amazing. I think the voice acting is great. So yeah, I think I can recommend you Talos Principle without a doubt if you are a puzzle game fan and if you don't mind sitting for a number of hours. Even Zero is great, but unfortunately some people sometimes misunderstand its mechanics. Because the main gimmick of this game is that you are talking to an AI. It's not a very complicated AI. The gimmick is pretty simple. You are typing in a sentence and the code is finding keywords that it responds to. And you can, let's say, still immerse yourself in this game. To be honest, I don't know, I do not have a problem with having an empathy toward robots, so I didn't have a problem communicating with this AI, with Kaizen. I would say you can see the gameplay on my channel, but if you want to play it, I recommend not watching it. Getting the game and playing it yourself. It's not very long. I think it took me like 6 hours to finish it, but it's a great experience. And you can play it, I think, a few times, trying a different approach to the AI. Maybe you want to be more pleasant, maybe you want to have more questions, or maybe you want to be like very strict and to the point. It's up to you, but I can guarantee you that the computer will respond a bit differently every time you type something different. Okay, I recently finished Night in the Woods and it was a wild ride, really, from start to finish. Although I have to say that the wild ride at the very beginning, like 70% of the beginning, was pretty slow, was pretty okay. Like there were some interesting and unsettling things happening in the background or maybe in the dialogues, but it was okay. And then it like took a dive straight into the dark depths of the unknown, I would say. But I have to warn you, it has a rhythm segment, which is great if you have an Xbox controller, not the PS3 controller, because that will just make you confused, just like I was confused. It has a replay value because there are certain things that you can do only once in your playthrough. Like, for example, choosing if you want to spend more time with B or with Greg. I personally chose B, but I'll be playing soon to see how different it is to have more interactions with Greg. Some of the stories in this game feel very real. Like if you grew up in a small town, then it will be so real to you. The characters can be very relatable at times, and there's a big plot twist at the end. Although I'm not telling you what, because it's pretty weird and mind-twisting, I guess. I think I might have mentioned Rebel Galaxy once, but I don't remember where. Anyway, if you like Firefly, if you were disappointed by No Man's Sky, if you like space battles, I would recommend this game to you. Because basically the story is you suddenly get a spaceship, your aunt is missing, you need to find her, there's stuff happening. Just handle it. That's basically it. Handle it. There are different things you can do. You can try siding with the Merchants Guild, and you can maybe try buying stuff cheap, selling stuff high if you want, just moving from one station to the other. You can try being a bounty hunter, because there's a lot of pirates and smugglers and whatnot. You can side more with the police. I'm not sure if they are called police. You can side with them. You can side with the pirates, because there is a small section where you can see your relationship with certain groups, and you can decide like, oh, they don't like me, maybe I want to change that, or they like me very much, maybe I'll get some kind of discount at their store. The one problem I have is that although music is great, I love it, there isn't much of it. So suddenly you are feeling like you've been listening to the same two songs for like the last 2 hours, and it's getting a bit exhausting. But a bright side is that there is an easy way to implement your music to this game. So if you want to take Firefly or Cowboy Bebop soundtrack and put it into this game, there's nothing stopping you. I don't remember how much time I spent on Rogue Legacy and how many generations I had, but I beat it, and it was so great. And then it turned out I can continue playing. It was great, and it was horrible at times. I mean, this game can be so confusing at times, but it's so good. It may be a bit annoying that every time you start with a new, let's say, child, although it's not a child, it's a knight, but it's a child of your previous knight. So each time you start, let's say, a new run, the castle is different. Of course, you can pay for an upgrade that lets you continue in the same castle, but it's not worth it in my opinion. I was just like straight running through, oh my god, this isn't the same room as before. Fuck it. Just let's power through it. It was great. I love it. I really love the animation. Again, the music is okay, but there should be more variety in the music in the first castle, because you'll be playing through the first castle a lot. And at some point you'll be waking up in cold sweat in the middle of the night with this tune just playing into your mind. The one thing I have against Renowned Explorers is that it's so short. I know it's supposed to have a great replay value because you can choose different types of characters. You can try to resolve some issues a different way, like, I don't know, be more diplomatic, be more aggressive, be more charismatic. But there aren't many, in the basic game, I did not have any DLC. There aren't that many adventures unless you're not playing, let's say you're not binge playing it, but you are coming back to it once in a while. Then maybe. But still, after playing it for some time, I felt like I was doing the same motions again and again and again. And at some point I stopped bothering with reading the scenarios. I was just looking at the numbers, who had the biggest percentage, just get on with it. And that's not how you're supposed to play this game, because this game is supposed to be about a story and an adventure. So, I still think it's really beautiful. It's a great idea. I just wished it had a bit more variety, like more countries, more scenarios. It didn't have to be like semi-realistic. You can come up with your own continent, I don't care, and put both jungle and desert and whatever, put everything there and just give it a bit more variety, But I have to admit that the style of fighting in this game is the best. Not exactly fighting, because you don't have to fight every time. You can attack your opponents by blowing kisses at them, or insulting them, or complimenting them. And they react differently, and depending on how you resolve the conflict, conflict. They have different animations and it's just beautiful. I think this game just looks so beautiful. And yeah, I'm still recommending it, although I said it can be repetitive. But I'm still coming back to it and I'm still playing it because it charmed me, really. I was burnt once when I discovered that there was a sequel to A Dungeon Keeper. I think it was only a mobile game and it was very poor and it had disgusting microtransactions that wouldn't allow you to play. It was like, to clear one block you would have to wait a day, like in real life time day, or pay some kind of money, which was just no, just don't do that. But then I think somebody told me about the War of the Overworld. Oh, what a tongue twister. And I checked it out and oh my god, it's basically Dungeon Keeper. But some people might say that, oh, then it's not very good because, you know, it's a clone. But on the other hand, if you have a good formula, wouldn't you want it to be created using a current technology? Wouldn't you want that? And it's exactly it. It still has a great sense of humor. It has a great narration. It's just adorable. I mean, if you want to be an evil lord, then there wasn't ever a better way to be an evil lord than to play the War of the Overworld. It's horrible, this tongue twister. For those not familiar with Dungeon Keeper, it's a strategy game where you are an evil lord and you have your dungeon. So now you have to rebuild it and make it strong again. And there are waves of heroes trying to destroy your dungeon and defeat you, like, you know, like heroes do. So basically it's a strategy game that lets you play as a bad guy. Alright, so this is my short list of titles that you could keep in mind when browsing through, let's say, Sales Bin on Steam, GOG, and any other platform you are using, if those games are available there. Hope you liked it. If you have any games that I haven't mentioned and you think would be great to try out, just let me know. I'm also a big fan of especially niche games that aren't very popular. And if they have robots or space or /and space, that is just, I'm sold. I'm a big fan of space and robots. Just FYI if you haven't noticed by my channel. Alright, so anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you buy any of these games, just let me know. I love being told that my recommendation was considered and it was valid. And I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!